Welcome to Living the Dream Iowa Life. I'm your host, Hannah Nuss, and each weekday we'll share enthusiasm for what's possible and dive into the stories of Iowans living their dream lives right here in the heartland. Whether you're chasing a big goal or just looking for a little inspiration, we've got you covered. Let's change the world together. This is Living the Dream Iowa Life. Let's go. Heyo, welcome to Living the Dream Iowa Life podcast. I'm your host, Hannah Nuss, and we have arrived. We are here. Good morning. We're going after dreams, and we're loving it. We're loving every part of it. But not every part. Some of it sucks. I am not going to lie. Growth, accountability, identity, all the real heavy, hard conversations that you mostly avoid your whole life. Like coming to terms with the reality that you are a whole human being and you have flaws, and talking about them, working through them out loud at times, having to have kind of a cycle of growth and conversation and moving forward. It's not for the faint of heart. It's not the most joyous journey that I've ever been on. Which means, hi, I want to run. I want to run far away from all of this because it is not fun. But coming to the notebook, to the journal, whatever that looks like, with your whole self. And a willingness to have those hard conversations, not glaze by them. And I think for me, that has been this show, that has been journaling. You know, it's a place for me to give time and space for those harder things that I certainly avoid in real life. Do not tempt me with running far, far away from anything that doesn't feel like light and love. And, you know, I think that that's a delicate balance because really light and love is our truth. But we still live in this world of darkness, and we still have our own light and dark within ourselves. And so for me, giving space to the dark, giving space to the reality, giving space to heavy conversations is a vital daily practice. Because if not, I will just run and hide my head under a stone every day. Every day I would do that. No, everything is happy and joyful. There is no dark. And really, that can be the reality. Like we can exist in this magnetic polar sphere where we do create that. That doesn't mean that darkness does not still exist inside of us and in experiences that we will have, right? They'll still be there. It's just a matter of not running from that reality. In fact, making sure that we're creating a dance where we live in both worlds consistently, where we are having dark moments and darker conversations with the yin and the yang, right? This balance. And so, yeah, I was journaling this morning, super deep, because yesterday or the other day, and this is crazy because as a kid, I longed to eat out. Like, oh my gosh, I was pretty sure that every kid that ever existed in this world was eating out. I think mostly it was just like PBS commercials because it was Pizza Hut and Chuck E. Cheese. And I was like, everybody's having pizza all the time. And every time that I see examples of that, people look so joyful. And my family wasn't always the most joyful place to be, but when I remember eating out, the portion that was just the eating, it was always so joyful. Like that portion where we had good food, there was no stress, there was no, because as I dove deeper into this, we'll get into it. There was no like worry at all. we would just be eating pizza, and we would be what the commercials promise, like all this joy, all this happiness, all this relief from the pressures of the world, which is not what they talked about in the commercial, right? They're just like, pizza, it's the best. Pizza Hut's the best. Da 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 da. But the picture that they painted, I think, to me as a kid was everyone enjoy. So then I start diving into, like, really, my kids. The other night when we were coming home, I was like, do we want to stop and grab something? And they were like, no, we'd rather eat at home. Oh, I was like taken aback for a second. What? I just offered up the single-handed greatest experience that you could have as a child, to stop and eat out. And you just said, no, we'd rather eat at home. So I started my journaling with that this morning. My kids would rather eat at home. Right? And you think about how food is care. And so I thought about that. Okay, well, food is care. So my kids see us making them food as them being cared for, and they'd rather be at home with the people that they care about, having food together, that was prepared together. They have good memories of eating at home. My memories of eating at home were like, there was never enough food. We were always eating too much. It was never going to last. It was almost like a duty instead of an act of love. Like, I got to cook for you. And I think mostly because it created this laundry list of things. All right, well, if I'm going to cook for you, then I'm going to have to clean. Then I'm going to have to X, Y, and Z. Like, how convenient and how inconvenient, right? And like, if you're in a scarce environment where there's not enough love, there's not enough food, there's not enough money, there's not enough, then I feel like the act of cooking really is a duty of another thing, because it's always another thing, right? Like, it's cooking, and then it's cleaning, and then it's maintaining the leftovers, and then it's buying the groceries, and then it's this very intentional act of eating at home. And so while eating out was no walk in the park either, in order to eat out, if we wanted to stop at the Vinton Pizza Hut, which was the place of all good things, the corner booth at the Vinton, Iowa Pizza Hut, people, there was no better place in my childhood. If we made it there, we made it. The corner booth at the Vinton, Iowa Pizza Hut, that was my childhood goal. And in order to get to that goal, we had to keep groceries under a certain budget for that week, like whatever that looked like. 2 grocery carts had to be under $300, something like that. And that had to last us a month. I don't think we went grocery shopping every 2 weeks. Those groceries, $300 worth of groceries, had to last us a month. They usually lasted us about a week. Because it was scarce, right? So like, you were scared. This isn't going to happen again. I'm not going to have Doritos. We certainly didn't have Doritos. We're not going to have the Fairway brand of Doritos anymore. Like, they're going to run out. If I don't eat them first, someone else will, and there won't be enough, and they will be gone. And I think that really created that mentality of hurry up and get it. It's going to be gone. The good stuff never lasts. Get it while it's hot. And the goal really was to stay under that budget. If you stayed under that budget, you could go to Pizza Hut. And for the most part, and I've been kind of diving into this more because I'm always brought to these moments in childhood when I remember not feeling sort of this undercurrent of knowing that something's going to go wrong, knowing that we are 2 seconds away from a blow up, knowing that we are 2 seconds away from something going wrong, knowing that the joy will end. And so every time that I get into a vehicle in the summer in Iowa, there's like this delicious, if it's been sitting there all day, so like after work, there's this delicious moment of heat and comfort. And it takes me back, and I will always kind of linger in the vehicle during the summer, before the AC kicks on, like just it's hot, but it's like good hot, great hot, amazing, nostalgic, washing over me, enveloping me in this old feeling. And that feeling was me after being on a boat all day long, because sometimes we got to go boating. And if we got to go boating, then we escaped. We escaped all of the stressors, all of the things. I could just sit at the front of the boat and the wind could just carry me away, and I could just dream and imagine and be up there. And then we get into the car, and I knew after there was probably going to be a problem. There was going to be a blow up. There was going to be a problem. There was going to be a flat tire. There was going to be a boat mishap. There was going to be we ran out of money, or we lost the keys, or there was going to be a problem. But for a moment in time, the greatest feeling in the world was in between problems. We had gotten off the water, which meant, okay, we can breathe. We did the thing, because there was always stress getting on the water and getting off the water. Everything in between there was a miracle. We were drinking Ruby Red Squirt and eating sometimes Doritos, folks. Sometimes. But we're for sure drinking Ruby Red Squirt, and all the cares of the world are gone. Like, we are just happy. It is just joy. And joy as my feeding energy of this life was just something that I longed for and lived for. And so when we're on the boat, when we're on the water, all good things. When we get off the water, like once all of the drama of that is done, then I remember you'd get your bag of clothes and you'd go and put your clothes on, and they'd be so hot from sitting in the car, and you're kind of sunburnt, and so that warmth just feels great. Your skin is sun-kissed, but you've just gotten off the water, and you were probably in the water all day, and so you're a little bit cold, and so you put on these warm clothes that have been sitting in a hot, sticky car all day, and it's just like heaven. And I remember I'd put on my warm clothes, and then I'd go and I'd sit in that vehicle that had just sat in the sun all day long, and for a brief second of time, everything was good. Like, our family had just bonded all day. We were off the water. Everything was good. Nothing could go wrong in this hot vehicle. Everything was good. And then I think kind of that's one of the joy moments. And so summer has been bringing that up for me, because every day I'm in that situation where I'm in my car and it is just hot and wonderful. And it takes me back to that joyous place of sitting safely, drama-free, joyful in the vehicle, in my warm clothes, in this hot car. Yum. Yum. And so the next time, the other time that there was sort of this unbridled joy, this just joy, was before the bill came and after groceries. Sort of this between storms moment, the eye of the storm. Like, you know that it's going to be terrible on the front end, but if you can make it through that, there's this little window of joy. You know that after it's going to be terrible because we're going to have to pay the bill and we never had enough money because the bill was always just higher somehow. We always ate too much. We needed too much. It never went well. There was always a problem, right? Or the ride home, I don't know, the van would break down or something. There was always an issue. And so, again, this eye of the storm, this quiet, this joy. And I would just love sitting in that corner booth at Pizza Hut in that moment. Like, even before the food came. Just like the excitement of getting things right, of the joy that's going to come from this meal. So I started thinking about that. Like, what was that? And why is my kids' experience with eating at home so much different than mine? And I think it really comes down to the joy for me about eating at Pizza Hut, I think, was just the relief. And so I think now the joy of eating out for me now is the relief, is someone caring for me. And when you grow up in a scarce environment, like, there's never enough. And so your caregivers typically don't have enough. And so everything that they do for you really is just out of duty. Like, well, we had these kids, I guess now I got to take care of them. And because I don't have enough time, we don't have enough money, we don't really have enough to give these kids, like, everything that we do is a duty and is really taking from ourselves to give them better. And I think for parents to do that, that's the hardest position to be in, to, like, really have to sacrifice your whole life. And so unquestionably, like, that care, that service, that love kind of came with a chip on the shoulder. Like, well, if I'm giving you love, I don't have enough time to give myself love. Ugh. Like, I don't know if I want to do it. And you do, as a parent, you do. But when there's not enough, when you don't have time for yourself, then every time that you're giving that love, it is taking from an already empty cup. And so, I'm taken aback. My kids want to eat at home. What? Why? I don't even want to eat at home. Like, can we not? And I thought about that too. Like, well, I don't want to eat at home because I know the list of chores that will create. But my kids know the amount of love that they feel when we do that, because that means that we're sitting around our table and we're talking and we're hanging out, and maybe we'll have to wash the dishes together, maybe we won't, but we are certainly going to sit and hang out. And it's not going to be the dinner table that I had, which was like, shh, this is quiet, we are eating, this is something that we must do. We must refuel our bodies. They say that we must do that. So it must be done. We will sit around this table. You will sit here quietly. You will not be rambunctious and ridiculous. Sit and shut up and eat all of your food, because if not, it's going to waste, and we don't have enough to go to waste. Like, we are not that blessed. We are not that fruitful. You cannot throw away a plate full of food. And if you even try, your dad will certainly eat all of it, because it will not go to waste. So I don't know. I'm having this, like, conflicted conversation in my journal this morning, which is why I brought it here, about care really, I think about love and feeling loved and cared for. And so it started me with this question of like, what makes you feel cared for? Taken care of. When do you feel taken care of? And as an Enneagram 7, that really is my, like, I think it's my longing. Like, that is my need in this life, to feel taken care of. And so as I'm trying to trace this back, and I'm like, man, my kids feel taken care of when they're eating at home. They feel love in that exchange, whereas I felt guilt. Like, eating at home didn't feel like being cared for. It almost felt like just like a constant drain. Like, even when we were eating at home, and that's what we had to do to save money because we would never have enough to go out to eat. Even when we were eating at home, it's like nickel and diming. Okay, well, we have this much ground beef to go, and not ground beef, ground venison. It's like deer hunting probably fed our family all through my adolescence. Like, if we didn't get a deer that winter, it was going to be tough because we really needed that meat to feed everyone. We got a lot of mouths to feed. So yeah, I don't know. Just knowing that we have shifted our family, that there isn't a guilt narrative around eating, and now when I go out to eat, and it is one of my favorite things to do, and not even because I love food and going out to eat. I think I love being taken care of. I love seeing, I like going out to eat with my family, and I love seeing them kind of relieve the pressure and the anxiety around another meal, another cleanup, another reality that the freezer isn't full enough. Like, I love seeing sort of that relief of I love seeing the people I care about cared for as well. And if they're not able to get that at home, they're not able to have that like relief, or that non-stress exchange, then it is really fun to see the people I love be cared for and kind of release the weight of yet another meal. So yeah, I don't know. I feel that when I am neglecting myself. No question. When I am not loving myself right, I feel this like super strong need and pull to eat out. Like, and it's not from a place of like, oh, I love food so much. It's like, someone just care for me, because I am really nervous if I am not provided this meal today. No one will be taking care of me today. Like, my needs are too big. I am not worthy of being taken care of today. And usually it's on days where my list is longer than my legs. And I'm like, I am not going to be able to get this done. I'm not worthy of being loved. I am not all of these things. I just need food. I need relief. I need more than anything, someone to just take care of me, take care of the cleanup, take care of the cooking, the prep, the grocery buying, like all the things that go into eating. I need someone to care for me. And I do wonder if that is some of the just the weight around food. food is such a caring thing. And if you're coming from scarce environments, I think there's a lot of weight around that, and not even related to maybe there not being enough food, but maybe there not being enough care, enough taking care. Yeah. Oof. That's a heavy one. I don't know. So I am going to pose that question today on my socials. So if you follow me, I'm on Facebook and Instagram. I would say I'm on Facebook most consistently. But like, what does being well taken care of feel like? Like, what are people doing for you when that happens? And I think for me, like, when my list gets too long and I can't handle what I've taken on, or the world has thrown more at me than I knew to be ready for, when people show up for me and care for me and take care of my list of concerns for me in those moments, like, that is everything. That is everything. And so often we go to food, right? Because that is really being cared for. That is one of the ways that we show care. I think, for me, it's like, what's on my list and how am I going to get it done? Because that is the stressor for me. Like, and not in a I take on too much. It's like, I am so hungry and grateful to be living in this life, and I love exploring and getting curious about everything that comes my way. And so with an appetite like that, you can imagine how, if one thing goes wrong or you're taken offline, you might need some help to get yourself back on. And so I definitely have seen that, have felt that over the last 6 months, unquestionably. And I think it all comes down to, when do you feel cared for most? And I think for me, just, it is food. And maybe it's not food, it's like the relief of everything that goes into that. Like, and the relief of having to provide care for myself yet again. Like, I don't want to be the only one that cares about me, but I can purchase my way into someone caring for me, right? Like, I can pay you to make me food. And so then you have to care about me. And, even that, like, that's coming from a place of lack. And I know when I get into those headspaces, and I know that it is always related to self-neglect. And I am really happy that my kids would rather eat at home, because that is like such a loving, wonderful experience for them. Because that was not mine. That was not where I experienced joy. Like, ugh, it was worse there. And I could feel the relief of my parents for a brief second when we went out to eat, because they knew there wasn't going to be a follow-up, and there wasn't a build-up either. There was ordering the food, eating the food. There wasn't planning out the food, budgeting for the food, figuring out how much food we were going to need to feed all of these ding dang dong kids. Dang it. What are we doing? Then the making of the food, the preparation of the food, the whether or not the food is good, the whether or not everyone's going to eat it. whether or not there were going to be leftovers that we were going to have to maintain and take up space and figure out how to keep and who's going to eat it and how soon we need to eat it. There's not all of that. And then there's not the cleanup afterwards. That is work upon work upon work. There's just the food and the caring and caregivers being cared for. And that is a beautiful thing, undoubtedly, but I think that's an easy thing to get addicted to. And I unquestionably have had addiction to that, but it's interesting that it's not to the food, that it really is to the care. As always, you're smart, you're strong, you're beautiful. What are you going to do? Change the world.